What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow and talk about what's going on with Facebook or Meta's earnings, as this is going to be important for the market. I'm also going to talk about what's going on in China, as we did see some relief today from their indexes that could be a good sign for the future. And I'm going to end the video by talking about what NIO put on their Twitter page that makes me very excited for the long-term future of this company. Now, before I break any of this down, before I talk about what's happening with NIO, I do have to mention some very important things first. The first thing is I'm not a financial planner, so please don't take this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money, whether it's $1 or $100, it's up to you. You are guaranteed 5 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. Once again, that's free money, and you could always sell these 5 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free. This is a limited time offer that ends in just 2 weeks, so please check it out to get your free NIO shares. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So, looking at NIO, we had a nice jump in the very opening of the day. I mean, we saw this thing soar all the way up to 1769. And I do want to talk about that in a little bit of detail. We actually saw a lot of stocks do some very similar moves, particularly Chinese ones, right? We actually saw this going on. So if we look at what happened in China, there was a downward trend due to many political and regulatory fears, supply chain issues, and also the lockdowns due to the virus spreading. But as a result, we did see many Chinese indexes kind of see a relief day for today. And as a result, this did help Xpeng and also NIO have a nice relief today. We did see NIO up about 2.44%, and also Xpeng was up about 5%. So that's a pretty good sign, seeing these reliefs that are just happening back and forth. And on top of that, we are seeing NIO, their production is perpetuating, as they did just deliver, or I believe produce or deliver, their 200,000th vehicle. Once again, a very, very good sign for the company, and it just goes to show how incredible they are every single day, improving, no matter what on earth is going on. Now, going into tomorrow, I do want to talk about something very important. It's important to note where NIO's strong support is, and that is that low $16 range. And I also want to talk about their gap, right? Let me show you the gap that's like down here. So there was some fear that NIO could drop and end up filling this gap at 1575. And I do see that as a possibility, perhaps not tomorrow, but in the later days. It's very possible because the market is going to be shaky, maybe kind of bearish, as we get very close to this line right here, which is the announcement of the 50 basis point rate hike, right? We're most likely going to see that in a couple of days. It's not 100% confirmed yet, but as we get closer to the FOMC meeting, it does often lead to a market kind of dropping, and that is what we are most likely going to see. Now, before I give you guys my prediction, let's talk about this first. Right here, we have Meta, or the parents of Facebook. They actually had a pretty good earnings report, right? Their earnings per share was $2.72 instead of $2.56. Revenue was actually a miss by just slightly, by 0.3 billion, but they did win on earnings per share, which does make it a pretty good earnings, right? And they do want earnings per share being the most important metric, or one of the most important metrics. Them beating it is a pretty good sign, and that could be good for the market, because these big tech stocks do have an effect considering how huge they are, and that could lead to some positive price action for tomorrow. So for my prediction, here's what I want to talk about. First off, let's talk about where NIO stands from the macro perspective. Over the long term, we can see the RSIs right here, very oversold, which means when the market bounces, NIO is going to have a nice bounce when the time comes. Right now, MACD was showing lots of red, lots of bearish price action. But if we zoom into the 1 day charts, if we actually zoom in a little bit, right over here, let me show 5-minute candles. When you zoom in, you're going to notice that NIO had that very strong support around that $16.31 range, and we've been dropping since. We're at 16. We ran up to 1769. Then we've been dropping. Then we dropped to 1676. But look at this right here. There's another gap that formed that may bring us back to that 1639 range. Now, I don't know if it's meant for tomorrow or for a Friday, but it's very possible that we actually fill this gap. We get a bit of a drop, then we get a nice bounce off that 1631 range, and we trade kind of sideways. And we end up closing maybe a little bit in the green for tomorrow. I do think tomorrow should be a green day, maybe a kind of a sideways day, but Friday is most likely going to be a bit of a red day as we get closer to the FOMC meeting, and it's the last Friday before that. So my analysis is this. I think tomorrow we might get a push during the opening, then we may end up dropping. And as we drop, it's possible we actually drop harder than before. And we end up closing, once we get this balance off 1631, we end up closing a little bit above that. We end up pushing up a little bit, and we should end up closing around that 16.7, maybe $17 range, kind of close to 17. I would not be surprised if NIO closes right there. And $17 would be a key resistance level if we do end up staying below that range. So my prediction is this: a nice push up for the opening, then followed by a drop, a big drop that's going to fill this gap right here, a nice bounce. Then we end up kind of closing close to $17, maybe slightly in the green. But then after that, for Friday, I would expect this thing to maybe drop a little bit. That's typically what happens. Now, for the long term, it is possible for NIO to see a little bit more downside because we have the gap, as I mentioned many times before, that $15.75 range is probably going to fill this gap right over here. So that in turn could be where we end up dropping to before the FOMC meeting, whether it's before or after. So be on the lookout for that because NIO does have some more room to maybe drop within the next few trading days. I'm talking about early next week, but it's not the end of the world. I'm not scared whatsoever because when you look at their Twitter page, when you look at what this company is doing, NIO did tweet that cars are no longer merely transportation, but empower a smarter lifestyle. An intelligent retail experience allows users to engage with others, enjoy their purchases, explore activities, and share moments. This is what NIO has stated, and to me, that's incredible news. You can see how they have these amazing new perks of a lifestyle. This is what they're trying to encompass in this company. They're improving people's lifestyles. That's huge, in my opinion, because they know cars are not just for transportation. They're really trying to get into the customer's emotions and build very good experiences with them, making their cars very luxurious, very nice on the inside. We also have NIO Life. We have the other brands that they're starting. We have the development of AI. We have all these very bullish catalysts that are going to be massive for the long term, massive for next year and the months later. So right now, remain calm, cool, and collected, and get ready because this company is going to run for the long term. For the short term, we could have a slight bounce. Like I told you guys before, we have this gap down here in the 1640s range. So we are going to get a slight drop most likely. I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow or Friday, but I do think it's going to happen tomorrow. I do presume that we should get a bounce off of that, maybe close somewhat in the green for Thursday, but then Friday is most likely going to be a red day, in my opinion, based off what I'm seeing right here. Now, as far as the EMAs go, I think a lot of people want to talk about those too. We haven't gotten that 1348 EMA crossover just yet. We're still waiting for it. We're waiting for the market to rebound, which it should start to do, I would say, within a week from now. So hopefully the market gets a nice rebound, and NIO should start to rebound with the market once the time is right. But as of right now, don't worry too much about the short term if you're a long term investor. Know that NIO is going to recover, give it the time it needs, and this thing is going to make massive returns. With that out of the way, nothing in this video is financial advice. Stay strong, NIO to the moon, and peace out.